This is a picture frame loom I came up with for someone who might not have a beading loom yet, so they can see if they like to like bead looming at all. You can buy a wooden picture frame. Walmart sells them without the glass for $1. This one had the glass, we took it out. This is the flat side. I have taken a string of beads, the size that I'm going to use, and I've taped them down. I put them on a thread and then taped them in place. I have push pins, which are on the close-up video I made just before this one. There's push pins. You should probably place your push pins about 1 push pin apart on your loom. Once I have wrapped my beading thread around the push pins, and it's best to go under the push pin rather than around it. Start in the center, go around, or the outside. Once you have all your threads in place, tape them down so they don't jump the beads. You might want to tape on both spots. I've just done it to the front. Then you can start your loom bead work. And I've got 12 beads I've already loaded up here. If you're having trouble threading your needle, it's good to keep in mind that when they're made at the factory, the holes are punched out, so there is a right and wrong side to the needles. So you might want to flip your needle over and see if the other side is easier for you to thread the thread through. And remember, when threading your needle, to leave your thread on the bobbin. This will always be easier to thread from this end than if you cut it to thread from the other end. So I always leave my thread on the bobbin until I've threaded the needle on, then I cut it. That way you're always threading the right end of the thread onto your needle. You're not making it more difficult to thread a beading needle than it is, and it's already difficult enough. So I'm going to show you how this little loom works. It's got a pretty good size to it. It's a picture frame. It's not bad. It was hard to get the first few rows on, but once I did that, you can just pop them in just like a regular beading loom. It's not a bad substitute in a pinch for someone who can't afford to buy a beading loom. Maybe you have a picture frame, some push pins, and some duct tape at home. And if you do, then you can bead a project without a beading loom. Just like that. I have used, if you can see this, I've got 2 boxes of spaghetti to help hold the loom up so I have space to bead under. That's the only trick to making a homemade loom, is if, I lost my thread here, if it's flat, it makes it very difficult to bead. Not impossible, but it would make it difficult. You'd have to lift this up to go under it every time. So if you have 2 boxes of food, because you might have a smaller frame, you might be using a smaller picture frame than me, you might need a smaller box. I tried Jello boxes, but it's a little wobbly because this is a longer frame. If you have a smaller frame, they may work. You can even tape them in place. But so far with this experiment, what has worked best are these spaghetti boxes. Kind of long, they're out of my way, and it holds it firm. These have the spaghetti in them, so they have some weight, so it helps hold it in place. So this isn't a bad little do-it-yourself loom for beadwork. I recommend getting a bead loom if at all possible, but if not, you can make one up out of a picture frame like this. Put your push pins in. Let's see if I can get this. I'd put them in 1 push pin apart. I think you can wrap about 10 threads for each push pin. I think you can wrap about 10 threads, so you could actually make a wide piece of beadwork if you wanted, or you could just make a little piece or several little pieces at once. So let me know what you think. I'm going to have to brainstorm on this one some more and see what I can come up with a better homemade bead loom maybe. But with this, you're not having to get the scissors out or the hammer or the nails, and maybe even a child could put this together themselves. So let me know what you think. This is a close-up of the beading loom. Try to get you a better look of it. These are the push pins. And let's see. You warp the beading thread around them, you want to go under the push pin. I found that worked best. Just kind of go around, pick up a bead from the opposite side. You'll get about 10 threads per push pin. They need to be about a push pin apart. And you can loom a wider piece of beadwork. Let's scan this out. I've got this loom held up with spaghetti boxes. Give you some, let me see here, let me back this up a little bit. Give you some depth for doing your beadwork. If it's laid flat, it makes it harder to get underneath. I have also used Jello boxes, but that was a little wobbly. You need to tape those in place. As you can see, I'm on close up. Look, just like other beadwork you've seen. Bright pink tape is kind of glaring. Let's see here. I taped down a string of beads this way, taped it on, back this up, on either end. Once I wrapped the threads around through the beads, I taped it in place so that these threads would not jump the beads, because they will jump these beads. You can tape it on both sides to help make it more secure. I think that's about it for this little homemade bead loom. I'm trying to come up with a better idea. I like this because it doesn't require hammer, nails. Children using scissors to cut a bunch of, like the cardboard looms where they have to cut a lot with them. With this one, just a couple push pins, some duct tape, picture frame, you're good to go. And it works just about as good as a regular beading loom. I recommend a beading loom, but if you can't afford one, you might have stuff in the house to make one. So hopefully this is helpful. If it is, let me know. Thanks.